Alrighty, how's everybody doing? I want to do a video of what I think a lot of people should be doing videos on, is why is NASCAR dying? And this past weekend at Bristol shocked me. Like I said, I've been watching races from Bristol since I was a kid in 1985, and there was probably more fans in 1985's race than it was this past weekend. Okay. Now back in 1999, 2000, tickets was sold out 5 years in advance. So hard to get there, 160,000 people. And now 2019, 38,000 showed up for the spring race. And they didn't even put a person in the turns 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. So this brings me to say, why is NASCAR dying? Well, let's go back. This all began, in my opinion, in 2001. When Dale Earnhardt Sr. got killed, I'm not saying this is the reason why the sport is dying. I'm just saying whenever he got killed in that crash, it's like, look how many millions of Dale Earnhardt fans said, that's it, I'm done. No more watching NASCAR. Okay, so when we transferred over to a different period, you had younger drivers coming up. Dale Jr. was still leading the pack in terms of popularity and overtaking everything, and he struggled. And whenever he started struggling year after year and not winning races and stuff, it started to slow it down. And NASCAR was at its peak, that you had all these sponsors everywhere. Even a small budget team had a big sponsor that would have been on a car today. So my opinion, over the last 6 to 10 years, we've lost a lot of good drivers. Dale Jr. retired, Tony Stewart retired, Jeff Gordon retired. I mean, you take all their fans that don't show up. That is thousands of fans, millions of fans. It's not coming to these tracks. That's just a little take of it, just a small percentage of what I'm thinking. Today, you really don't have a standout superstar. You got great drivers. You got Kyle Busch, who, in my opinion, whether you like him or not, he is the best driver in racing. Because his passion to win is there. He don't care about the money. He don't care if they pay him $10. He wants to win that race. And I will get to that in a few minutes. But my take on it is these ticket prices. Alright, now I had 3 friends who went to the Bristol race. Their tickets, for all 3 tickets, was right at $500. And they're wondering, where are the fans at? Whenever my dad took me to Bristol when I was young, 14, 15-year-old, to the Cup race, we both got in like for $100 or less for 2 people. And that was high. I mean, that was big seats. So, you take a family, you want to take your family to the race, and you got 4 people, you're looking over $500. The cheapest ticket's $150. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Clint Boyer put out on Twitter, he had looked it up himself. He had called a couple of the hotels in Johnson City, Tennessee, and they was $300 on the race weekend per room. And then that Monday, they went back down to like $109. So, and he said he was pissed over it. So you can tell, so if you got, say, 3 tickets for $500 right at it, and you're coming from far away, and you're staying in a hotel 2 nights, $300 a piece, that's $600. That's investing over $1,000 just for watch a 3-hour race. So that's my take. And I'd love for NASCAR to see this video, because they need to hear from the fans. I mean, I never dreamed Bristol would be that empty. And they're switching these dates around, thinking they're going to bring people in and this and that, trying to blame it on the dates and stuff. No, they moved the Bristol race up so the weather would be warmer, which it was, and they sold less than they did last year. Okay, well, they moved Indianapolis back to July, on July 5th. who's going to pay all that much money to sit in 95-degree weather and watch a race? It ain't going to happen. It's going to look empty, and it's going to be empty. And the only way to fix this is they've got to lower these ticket prices. They've got to get themselves back in together and let these guys race, quit trying all these dumb packages. Bring that car off the ground. They got way too much downforce in these race cars. That's why you didn't see the very first lap of the race at Bristol. You saw a little wreck, and from there on there was nothing. These cars are so downforced that anybody can drive them. They've just got a lot of fixing. Now let me go back to something else. What I think's hurting the sport is passion from these drivers. Now, people can say what they want to. They can get mad at me. I don't care. But you take a look at Darrell Waltrip, for instance. He had the passion. He wanted to win. Back in 1997, he was spending over $100,000 a week of his own money to race. He done the broadcast. It's all about passion. Back I think the drivers are overpaid today, and their passion ain't there for existence. Let's go back to Denny Hamlin. Some of you guys may have seen this video or this interview they done before the Bristol race. Okay, they asked Denny Hamlin because he don't know his plans for next year. He has signed no contract for next year yet. They asked him, said, Denny, what's going to be your deal for next year? You got working out deals or whatever? He said, I don't know. He said, if we're not back and we don't get it right or whatever, I'll just lay on the couch and draw a big paycheck. That's what he said. Exact words he said. So the only thing he's worried about is drawing that big paycheck. The passion should be not worrying about that. You've already got plenty of money. Worry about winning. Worry about doing what's best for the sport. That's what I'm seeing. And I'm telling you guys exactly how I feel about it. Because it really upset me to see them stands that empty. And the fans, you can't blame the fans. I know a lot of people say, well, you're not a real fan if you ain't going to pay the money to get. Listen, if you live paycheck to paycheck, you can't afford that much money to go to a race. I'm sorry, you can't do it. You got groceries to put on the table for your kids and stuff like that. You can't go. It's just ridiculous. And you got Denny Hamlin saying stuff like that. And that's the reason why I say Kyle Busch is the best driver in NASCAR, because he's got the passion to win. And I agree with Charlie NASCAR. He does only have 54 wins. He's got 54 Cup wins. The other ones, they're minor league stuff. But he does have 54 wins in NASCAR. So, I hope you like that, Charlie, because that's how I feel too, buddy. But that's, it's just so hard to talk about it, because I never thought the sport would be this low and be this down. And that 38,000 from this past weekend, next year it may be 28,000 if they don't start fixing some stuff. And that means t-shirts, buying shirts and hats. You go to a track, a hat's $30 or more. It's just ridiculous prices that people can't afford to pay. And team owners, people shutting down because they can't afford to run their teams. What's NASCAR going to do? How are they going to start paying these teams? If you only got 20, 30,000 people showing up every week, how are they going to pay all this out to everybody in NASCAR? You're going to start seeing other stuff happen, and I'm telling you guys, you're going to see some more big teams shut down over the next couple of years on account of this. And going back to the sport too, in the 70s, 80s, and even 90s, most teams was one car to a two-car team. And whenever Hendrick, Gibbs, Roush, some of these other big name teams, once they started running four-car teams, they took all the sponsors and put them into them. That way, the smaller teams don't have much of a chance to get these sponsors. So there's a lot of stuff that going behind the scenes that people don't know about. And it's not coming up. We got a night race in Richmond, Everybody loves short track racing. If that place looks empty at Richmond at night time, I don't know what to say about it. I just think it's time for NASCAR to quit worrying about this stupid packages stuff and worry about the future. Because if they don't start worrying about the future, the package ain't gonna matter. So I encourage everybody, you want to watch real good racing, go to your local dirt track. $8 probably to get in and watch some good dirt track racing. That's what I say. Or you can watch Follow the Leader in NASCAR now. That's what it's come down to. Follow the leader. They don't want no the tires don't wear out like at Bristol, for instance. Kyle Busch stayed out with 45 lap old tires. They couldn't touch him. Once he was get out in front, he was gone. And Jeff Gordon, everybody's saying, well, these new tires are going to come into play, and they're going. No, it don't work that way anymore. They need to build a new tire for the sport too that wears out. Take away the downforce, build a new tire, and just go from there and start adjusting on it. Because the new package sucks. I'm not the first person to tell anybody that. Everybody knows it. Everybody I know is saying how bad the racing is. Bristol was the best race of the year because you actually, the aero didn't matter. That's why it was the best race of the year. But once that aero comes into play and they get back on these 1.5 mile tracks, then you're going to get to see bad racing again. So that's just my take on it, guys. Just if you can, type in the Denny Hamlin Bristol interview. Maybe you can find it on YouTube somewhere or something. But he just plainly says, hey, if I don't get a ride, I don't care. I'm going to lay on the couch and draw a paycheck. So, hey, that's what's come down to. You take a look at the old Petty's, Earnhardt's, Walter's, Bobby Allison, all these guys that had the passion to win, that they didn't care about the money. They lived in their cars for years before they even got money to try to do what they accomplished. Nowadays, hey, let's finish 15th and walk out of here at $45,000 or more right in our pockets. So that's just my opinion on it, guys. Tell me what you think, comments below. Like, subscribe to the channel, and let's just all pray that NASCAR will get better in the future. So, see you guys later. JB.